It's been 1 year since 21-year-old Texas State student Jason Landry vanished on his drive home from school. His car crashed on a dirt road in Luling. His clothes, phone, and wallet were all left behind. In this morning's Crime Watch, Fox 7 Austin's Shannon Ryan takes a look at the case.
We know almost certainly that Jason has passed away, just given the facts. And as believers, we know he's in heaven. And that makes all the difference, because we know that life and death is part of God's plan for all of us. But we can't grieve. We can't mourn. We can't put this all in a proper perspective until we know the truth. And that's the hard part about waiting.
It's been 365 days without an answer for the family of missing Texas State student Jason Landry.
A year. I mean, on some level time flies, but it seems also like the longest year of our life, you know.
Landry was driving home for winter break from San Marcos to Missouri City, and Caldwell County Sheriff's Office Captain Jeff Ferry believes he crashed his car in this dirt road in Luling.
And about 900 feet away from the collision scene, he puts his hat, his backpack, continues walking south, and about 80 feet, maybe 100 feet past that is where he starts taking his clothes off. And the clothes are found in a manner which you would, if you're walking and taking your clothes off. And that's the last time there's any known location of Jason.
A year later, Ferry believes Jason, who would have had to traverse the terrain barefoot and naked, possibly under the influence, is still in the area.
I think it's most likely that Jason expired out there, and that animals got to his remains.
The rural floodplain has been grid searched more than half a dozen times by searchers wearing GPS trackers and using drones to comb through thousands of bones, identifying points of interest.
We have to now go through and determine, hey, is this a critter bone, is this a cow, or is it human? And so we were able to get most of those objects identified with no evidentiary findings.
Now Ferry's focus is on feral hogs.
If a feral hog consumes a human and digests a human, will a cadaver dog alert on that scat?
Ferry's trying to set up a study with the Forensic Anthropology Research Center, a human body decomposition facility at Jason's school.
But there's steps we need to take before we get to the cadaver, right? There's things we should know that we don't have to use a human body for to determine.
And Ferry's questions aren't just limited to feral hogs. In the early days of the search, cadaver dogs alerted on a body of water.
River otters will eat meat. They also will spread a body or spread a food source, right? They'll take their food and go. Is that what cadaver dogs were hitting on early in the search?
The area is also dotted with oil tanks.
And there really is no good way for us to search those. We'd have to vacuum pump every one of them, and that could take years. So we're not done looking. I still think he's out there. We just missed him.
Abel Pena disagrees. The retired FBI agent now runs Project Absentia, a nonprofit that helps locate missing people. He thinks something more nefarious happened.
We've gone back and looked at some of the early data and spoken to some of the early witnesses, and have discovered some anomalies.
Jennifer Young is a Kansas mother who says she's followed Jason's case for the past year.
I pray for them every single day because this is a parent's worst nightmare.
She started a petition for a geofence warrant, which would help investigators better pinpoint who was in the area when Jason vanished.
And it's extremely frustrating that we have the technology available to us, and it's just going by the wayside.
Monday, more than 12,000 people had signed. Still, Ferry says it's not something his office can get, as there has to be evidence of a crime for a judge to sign off.
This would be infinitely easier if we had a bad guy to look at or go in the direction of. There's just not.
With investigators conflicting theories, the Landry family hopes Jason isn't left behind at the impasse.
Do you feel that we're closer to finding your son today than we were the day he disappeared?
No, to be honest. It seems like things have just kind of hit a wall.
Shannon Ryan, Fox 7 Austin News.
If you have any information on Jason Landry's whereabouts or any other information on this case, you can call the Caldwell County Sheriff's Office. That number is 512-398-6777. Project Absentis has also set up a tip line. That number is 726-777-1259.